What is up, YouTube? Merciless Nerve coming to you with a little story time video. Now, it's been a minute since the last one, and it seems that you guys kind of enjoyed the last one since it's like one of the videos that I have the most views on. So, yeah, let's get right into it. So, today I'm going to be telling the story of like how when I first went to boot camp, I was like one of the ice Marines, right? So, this will be a little heads up for those of you guys that are probably thinking about joining like the Marines and stuff, like certain like jobs they have recruits do and whatnot, and like the first like initial phase. So pretty much what the job entails of, well let's start from the beginning. So when I first got dropped, I guess into like my platoon, I guess you can say, I started off as like guide and then ended up moving down to like squad leader and stuff because I was only in the depth for like a month, so like I wasn't the best at drill. Then after like the few days that I was there, I guess you can say, I like went to like GP because my senior only wanted the ROTC guys up front, which I didn't even know what the hell that was when I first like got in, I guess you can say, because they didn't have it at my high school. And then yeah, like I was only in the depth for a month, so I didn't know about all that extra curricular stuff, I guess you could say. But I guess like the first day of PT like rolls around, like platoon PT rolls around, and one of my drill instructors like he pulls me into like the duty hut with like two other guys. And he's like, "Yo, like grab these igloos and bring them outside and like fall into formation." So I'm just thinking like, oh, maybe we're just helping this dude bring this shit to his trunk or something. Like if you guys don't know what igloos are, they're pretty much these not they're not massive, but like those little coolers that you put like Gatorade or like water in that you see at like soccer games or like football games or like cookouts and stuff. So like that's pretty much what it is. If you don't know what it is, I'll throw an image on the screen so you guys can see that. But he wanted us to bring those outside. So in my head, I'm like, yo, he's probably just asking us to bring the shit to his car or some shit, you know. A light task. I wasn't really thinking about it too much. But then he tells us to get into formation once we're outside. So I'm like, smooth. Maybe we're just bringing this somewhere. So we're in formation, fucking left, right, Leo, down to the chow hall. And instead of going in the chow hall with the rest of the platoon, like he's motioning us to like the back of the chow hall. So that's when I know we're probably going to be doing some dumb shit with this. All right. So pretty much you go to like the back of the chow hall. There's like an ice chest. And if you guys don't know what an ice chest is, it's like a big, like, kind of like when you go to hotels and they have like those ice machines that you put the little ice bucket under and you like push a button and the ice falls down. Instead of that, it's like you open it. It's like a big freezer. And then there's like a scoop in there and you scoop the ice and you put the ice into like whatever you want. In this case, it was the igloo. So when I first opened it, I was like, yo, like there's a blanket in here, like in my head. And then I looked at him and then like I looked back down. So like I was like, oh, he probably knows like there's a blanket in here. But like why they keep the blanket in there, I never really thought about it. I'm not really too sure on what it's for. Like I guess it's just to like keep the ice cooler or some shit so like it doesn't melt, or like if it does melt, like oh yeah, so like if it melts, like the water will go on the sheet or whatever. Excuse me. And if someone like passes out during PT, like they just take the blanket out and put the person in the blanket to like cool them down and shit. So I'm filling up the ice or whatever on this. It's this one occasion that I remember. So like this was like when I was, I want to say probably like it's my like second week doing this. Maybe like second week and like maybe some change, you know. And at this point, like on this day, I was fed up, you know, because you have to like carry this big ass ice chest all the way to PT and stuff. And like today, I just was not having it. I was fed up, you know. So we're going to the chow on this one morning, and it's cold. It's cold as fuck. Right? We go to the chow hall, we go to the back, and we're in the ice chest, right? And I'm filling up this chest, and he's like, my drill instructor, he's like, go faster, you know, in that little frog voice or whatever. And like I said, like I'm not having it. I'm not with the shits today. I'm not for anybody's shit. One, it's cold. Two, I have to log around this big ass ice chest, and my hands are freezing. Now, for those of you guys in the chat that are going to be like, hey, why didn't you just wear your issued gloves? Boy, I only wore those wool gloves once in my entire boot camp experience. All right. So when you go to boot camp, you're issued like two pairs of gloves. One's a wool pair, and then the other is for like when you go to like basic warrior training. It's like leather gloves and shit, so you don't like cut up your hands when you're moving sea wire and whatnot. So the one time I wore those gloves was before a PT session. Why we wore them, I don't know, because as soon as we got to the PT field, my senior made us take them off. But yeah, that was the only time I've ever worn my wool gloves in boot camp. And if I were to wear them while carrying this ice, so like the top of my like igloo never sealed right. So when I would move, water would shift to the left and shift to the right, and some of that water would end up on my hands, right? Given I went to boot camp in February, and this is on the East Coast. So for those of you guys that ever experienced a New England winter, yo, that shit is no joke. And for my island boys and gals out there that don't really see like the cold side, I want you to do this, all right? I want you to get a bowl, okay? Make sure it's a big enough bowl, not like a cereal bowl, but maybe a bowl that you put like fruits in, or just a deep bowl, all right? I want you to get ice. Make sure this ice is fresh out of the freezer, all right? It has to be cold or it won't work. All right, I want you to fill that bowl up halfway, all right? I don't want you to waste too much ice and get in trouble, but fill that bowl up halfway, all right? And then you're going to put, I want to say like a cup of water in that bowl. Then you're going to put that bowl in your freezer for a good 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, you're going to take that bowl out, right? You're going to grab your hand and you're going to slide it all the way into the bottom of that bowl, right? Now that you feel how cold that is, imagine that, but as the wind. And that's all over your body. It is cold. It is brick. As soon as you step outside the house, which is like the, you call the house pretty much your squad bay, like you're getting smacked in the face by the wind with like a 2x4 piece of plywood. You feel that shit, all right? For those of you guys that went to boot camp in the winter months, like you're probably getting some flashbacks, all right? So to carry on, that water splashing onto my hand, and it's simultaneously freezing my hand, all right? And I know this morning it was going to happen because this was particularly cold. It was a particularly cold morning. Couldn't fucking forget it. So we're in the ice chest box room, whatever you want to call it. And again, like I'm not having anyone's shit this morning. And he tells me to go faster. And I go, "Aye, sir." Now this was very monotone. Like it wasn't screaming at all. And this will set a drill instructor off. Like if you're on your sweet volume shit, they can sense the attitude coming out of your mouth. Right? Kind of like with anyone, but more particularly towards them. In a monotone volume, I go, "Aye, sir." And he looks at me and he says, like, he's like, "Scream." Like, but a little louder, like, I'm not going to scream into my mic and, wake my neighbors up right now because it's a little late. But he's screaming at me. He's telling me to fucking scream. And again, I say, "Aye, sir." Now this time, same song, but to a different tune. It was a little louder, all right? Like, it was a little louder, but not to his expectation, right? And he looks at me, right? And he doesn't, it's not like a shove, but he turns me around and then looks me in the fucking eye. And he is like, "Bitch, scream." Now he wasn't having it, all right? Like, this dude was old. Like, granted, like, I don't know if he was like, he could pass, like, if you were to see him on the street, like, you would be like, that's just some old dude. I'm pretty sure he was in his 30s, though. But he just looked like an old man. I don't know if he drank too much or smoked too much or what. But he looked like an old man. And he just wasn't having my shit. Like, he was on these youngins finna learn tonight. Some, like, he was on something that night. Well, that morning. And I quickly snap out of it. I'm like, yo, he's not fucking around. I'm not trying to get fucked up by this dude. I've heard stories, kids go to boot camp and, they act up, they get dropped and shit. I wasn't trying to get dropped. And believe me, if I would have gotten dropped, yo, there was no coming back. I was definitely going back to the buffoonery I was on prior to joining. All right. So he's like, yo, like fucking like bitch scream. And there's the dude that's with me. It was two other dudes, right? One of the I forgot one dude's name, but we ended up being like good friends and stuff. And but he got dropped eventually. Like I don't know the specific term for it, but his balls were swollen and like he couldn't like run or anything. How that happened, I have no idea. Fucking, I guess it was like a genetic thing or some shit, or I don't know. Like his balls were just swollen, and that was pretty much it. And there was this other dude. His name was Wolfenberger, and I like it's just a last name you can't really forget. It's funny dude. I don't know if he's still in or anything like that, but funny dude. Hopefully he sees this video and it brings back some like flashbacks or whatever. But yeah, fucking we're in this ice room. And he's like, he looks at the other two and he's like, "You guys aren't gonna leave until he screams." So my attitude has kind of gone away, but now like he's forcing me in this spot where it's on me if we leave or not. And I don't like really being put in those positions, like like being the bad guy. Like I was the bad guy that morning. And when the dude, we're gonna call him Bulls, right? That's kind of fucked up. I mean, let's not do that. We're gonna. I really don't remember his last name. We're just gonna call him Other Guy, right? So Other Guy, like he's going frantic. Like I guess he was hungry or wanted to get out of that room or just get out of the cold, and he's like scream, like he's losing his mind. And Wolfenberger is just like, please scream. Like he wasn't the loudest kid, and like I guess my drill instructors learned that pretty early in the cycle, so they just fucked with him. But like I said, this on this day, this particular drill instructor wasn't having any of our shit. So the other guy is losing his mind. He's freaking the fuck out, right? And like I honestly thought he was gonna start crying at one point. So I eventually suck it up and I start screaming and shit like I'll play bitch for the day, type of mindset. Like I'll play the games as long as you can play the games. Hey, you'll make it. So I started playing the game, and we got out of there. Ended up getting chow, and yeah. But yo, if you go to boot camp and you're told to carry an igloo, either one, walk past like you didn't hear, or two, good luck. All right, especially if you're in the winter months. Like it's low key giving me PTSD right now. Like how cold my fingers were. It's just like something you can't forget. And yeah, I'm kind of getting sad now because of that. But anyways, kind of a short video for you guys, but hopefully you enjoyed that little story. I'll drop some more boot camp stories. Whenever I can, and yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy. See ya. Peace.